Hello, is it pucks you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes.
You proud of that one?
You
good?
want to listen to BuzzBox?
You feel good?
Just based on the look on your face, yes, I am very proud of it. Welcome back to BuzzBox.
Glad you feel good.
And we're back, and mostly COVID-free from last week, and together and looking at each other in person and such.
I'm Clay.
I'm Bert.
Thanks for joining us.
And we're here to talk about Week 8
Week 8.
of the NHL season. I'm just going to turn myself down a little bit because I'm a little loud. But yeah. What are we drinking before we get into it?
All right. We are drinking Union Craft Brewing, brewed out of Baltimore, Maryland. Their Foxy IPA.
Foxy.
It's a seasonal. Might be a fall seasonal, but here we are.
It looks pretty fall based on the can.
Yeah. It's yummy.
With the foliage and
I haven't
such,
had it in a long time.
and the leaves and such.
Pouring into frosted glasses.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Someone likes IPAs now.
I wouldn't say I like them. I don't think I would pick them. I think I can tolerate them more, certainly.
Touché.
My dad would be proud. Hey, you know what? Clinky. Because we have glasses.
Ooh. Yummy, yummy, yeah.
Anyway, would you like to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first. So, we're going to start off in the Pacific.
Pacific.
Alphabetical this time, keeping it easy.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. You know what's really funny? I actually fucked up my alphabetical.
Way to go.
I forgot where Colorado went, and then I had to put them after Dallas.
Oh,
so.
I've done that.
I just had like a brain fart.
I think I did that week one. I forgot about Florida or some crap.
And they were at the end.
No, they were just after Montreal. All right, Anaheim's up first, and they are leading the tank charge for Bedard.
If I remembered correctly, they had a pretty poor week.
They were all on the road, so they went 0-2-2.
At least they got 2 points.
They got 2 points. They only have one regulation win.
That's an amazing stat.
They are 6-17-3.
Woof.
Yes, it's bad.
Woof.
Oh, center of the country this week for them.
Let's look at the standings at the end of the episode. I meant to say that before.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yes. Losing to Nashville in overtime. Then they got shut out by Dallas.
Yes, they did.
5-0.
Yes, they did.
But it was a reverse retro night for both teams.
Dallas looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I like Dallas's reverse retros.
I mean, the Ducks have been rocking their reverse retros a lot this season.
Did you see apparently the Ducks said
I did.
that they were going to do a rebrand? They're still going to be the Ducks, but
They're talking about a rebrand, and they're
going back to the mask logo.
probably because
They said the fans have been heard.
yes. So
Which
that
is-
that
okay.
means
That means it
Duck
must
face.
be the mask.
which is just what everyone wants.
Yeah,
It's what everyone wants. It's such a cool logo.
I agree.
The
I
WebD
agree.
the WebD Duckfoot logo is a perfect shoulder patch.
Yeah.
So just swap what they're doing now, and it's
Yeah.
Great.
I think they
they're gonna stay orange because
yeah,
the
they're
owners
keeping
like
the colors. Yeah.
the owners think it's funny that they're orange because they play in Orange County.
I didn't know that's why they picked orange.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why. Yeah,
Boo. That's stupid.
yeah, it's funny.
It is kind of funny. Yeah. Well, anyway, sorry.
But at
I
least
thought of that when
If
while
they
you were
stay
talking.
orange and black and then throw out the eggplant and the teal every once in a while,
Make it like
that'll
your-
make everyone
your
happy.
normal like
Yeah.
alternate, you know.
all right. Then they lost to Minnesota in a shootout,
Yes, they did.
so that's good.
They got a point.
They got a point.
They got a point.
And then they lost to Winnipeg.
Oh.
Now, only one game did they let in less than 4 goals, and that was against Nashville. Otherwise,
Yeah. Yeah.
0-5.
The Ducks are.
The 4-4. We're not counting that 5th goal for the shootout against
Right. Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
but that was 4-5, and then 5-2. So defense is bad. We're going to talk about keep going on that bad defense with the penalty kill, which was only 8-4-12.
Yikes.
Yes, they don't actually have a top player.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't give them one.
no.
No.
We're gonna keep going on with Calgary, who did better than Anaheim. Not hard to do,
Not that hard, yeah.
but 2-1 this week.
Hey,
They
there you
are
go.
11-10-3 on the season, so middle of the Pacific right now. They beat Florida to start the week, then they lost to Montreal, and then they finished up by beating the snot out of Washington.
Yeah.
Mangiapane's their top player this week with 3 goals and an assist. He had
Menji.
2 goals against Washington. And then Huberdeau had a goal and assist against his old team.
Revenge.
Revenge.
The revengeing.
That was a kind of wild game between Kachuk and then Huberdeau.
Yeah.
Because it was, I think, Kachuk's first time back in Calgary in Uyghurs. So
Did they boo him?
they didn't. They cheered him when they did a tribute.
Hmm.
They did a little tribute video because he was just there for 6 years. But then they booed him every time he touched the puck, which is what you
Yeah.
should do.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he was like, I don't want to play here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you do.
Yeah. My favorite boos are the ones that Johnny Gaudreau is getting in Long Island because
They're
he
so-
doesn't understand because he never spoke to the Islanders.
He never spoke to the
He said that
Islanders.
in an interview.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny.
Uh,
He's like, I don't know why they're booing me. I never even talked to the Islanders.
yeah, I never talked to
They
the
never
Islanders.
offered me a contract. People were just going off of the things they heard in the news. They're
Exactly.
like, oh, the Islanders are going to make like 4 trades and
Oh.
free up all this cap space. And then they didn't do anything.
Yeah. All right. So, special teams was fine. Vladar had 2 wins this week. Actually,
Yeah.
the only loss, Markstrom was in net,
Darth Vladar.
which is just funny.
Yeah, right. That their high-paid goaltender is the one that lost the game.
Yeah, and I mean he's playing well. It's just
Just like
this
Florida.
week.
Not as bad as Florida.
Not as bad as Florida. Markstrom's playing well. It's,
Yeah, that's true. He
It's just this week.
Yeah, he just lost that one game.
All right. Staying in Alberta, we are talking about Edmonton, who had 4 games this week and went 3-1.
Noise.
Florida didn't have a great week because they went on
Were there on the West Coast?
West
yeah.
Coast road trip.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is. Edmonton beat Florida in overtime. Then they beat Chicago. Then they lost to Minnesota, and then they lost to Minnesota, and then they beat Montreal to finish their week.
At least they were beating 2 teams that they should beat. Minnesota's good, and they beat Florida in overtime.
Exactly.
So that's a good week.
Special teams is going to be something. 5 for 17. They had 17 power plays
I mean,
in 4 games.
It's not bad. It's under 30% though.
It's not that good.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that you had 17 power plays,
25%, 26%.
17 power plays in 4 games is kind of
That's
crazy.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Then they had to kill off 16 in those 4 games.
Oh my god. Boy, they take a lot of penalties.
4 a game.
Yeah. It's 4 a game each for
Yeah.
power play and penalty kill. Yeah. At least they even up.
Yeah, but they killed off 9 of them. So 9 for 16.
Oh my god. I can't believe they won 3 games.
Right?
9 for 16.
Um,
Good lord.
Not good. And their only loss, Campbell, was in net. Really fun.
Oh man.
I don't like piling on Campbell.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's-
we've already talked about this a couple of times. I kind of feel bad because Edmonton's defense is clearly not super good. They're outscoring teams, and that's how they're winning.
Yeah.
But like
Why play defense when you
when
can
you have
score?
2 of the top offensive players in the league, I get it. But at a certain point, this is how you don't win championships, though. You score all these points in the regular season, and you're like, oh, that's great. They're going to do great in the playoffs, and then the other teams just figure you out.
Yeah.
Because if you play a 7-game series, like not as much last year, but like 2 years ago, when I think they got swept by Winnipeg in the first round.
Yeah, they did.
Winnipeg just kept McDavid and Draisaitl to the outside, and they let everyone else go because they knew that the 2 major threats were being kept to the perimeter.
That Hellebuck can deal with
and
everybody
and
else.
Hellebuck can just deal with everyone else. So
Now, we talked about this outside the podcast, but this specifically. Last year with Campbell, Toronto actually had a top 10 defense in the league.
Was this outside of the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh. Time is a
It
blur
blends,
to me
yes.
at this point.
Toronto had a top 10 defense in the league in all metrics. It was like 7 and
Yeah, they had a very good defense last year. Yeah.
like 7th and 5-on-5, 9th in like special teams, stuff like that. Edmonton didn't.
No.
They were bottom
And they
10.
Still do not.
Exactly. So
They didn't even really do anything to address that
No,
in
not-
the offseason, if I remember correctly.
no, they just blamed Mike Smith and then
that's true,
said new goalie, new me.
Oh, new shiny goalie who was up for a Vezina.
Yeah, new goalie, new me.
New goalie who dis.
Figuring that would be all the problems while they're still bottom 10 in the league on defense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Campbell had struggles last year. So
He did. Yeah, that's true. He
on
did.
that really good defense.
Yeah.
So
There was a.
They're
it was,
expecting
I
too
think
much
it was around
from
this
him.
time of the year. This time last year, that Campbell just went in like a tailspin for a while, and everybody was like, "Ooh,
Right, and he-
Toronto."
and he fixed it.
But
and put
then,
it back
then he
together.
figured it out. But yeah, I feel bad.
Yeah,
I feel bad
I do
for him.
too.
I don't want to dogpile. I don't like dogpiling on individual players unless their names are Tony DeAngelo, and because I think that it's not a one man
Right,
sport.
it's
It's
a
a
team
team
sport.
sport. But yeah, you got to call them like you sees them when
Yep.
somebody's playing real bad.
All right. Speaking of those two top players, actually didn't plan on mentioning them because, of course, they're going to be their top players.
Yeah,
but
they always are. Kaylor Yamamoto and Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Yamamoto's actually on the IR.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nugent Hopkins is actually having a career year for him.
Well, yeah, he's the only other person that scores really.
Hyman's been doing work.
Oh, that's true. I always forget Hyman's there.
But McDavid, in those 4 games, had 11 points, 5 goals, 6 assists, and then Draisaitl had 5 goals and 5 assists.
Boy, that was 4 games, huh?
That was 4 games.
So
That's insane.
I never know if those two are on the same line or if they split them up because they kind of
I think they are on the same
they
line.
kind of adjust it sometimes because I know Draisaitl can play any forward position essentially. McDavid, I believe, is purely a center, but
For the most part, I think they're the same line.
and that's why they have so many points. Not that
It's to each other, yeah.
individually they would still have a bunch of points. They're still both superstar players, but together, like, yeah, of course they're going to have 10 and 11 points.
I mean, I think Hyman, who's that other line piece this week, had 7 points. Like
Read off their what were their goal totals in those games again?
their goal totals were it was a 4-3 win, a 5-4 win,
9,
a 3-5 loss, 12.
12, yeah.
Yep,
And
and
then the
then
last one.
5.
So 17.
Yeah.
So between the two of them, they factored in on. They had 21 points between them
Yeah.
and 17 goals that the team scored. So
Yeah.
like, they scored most of it.
Well,
you know,
They both had 5 goals.
right?
17
so
goals
10 of the 17 goals was
were them.
between the two of them.
Yeah.
It's insane. I think Zach Hyman is the other one that's on that line.
Yes, he
and
is.
if I saw it correctly when you pulled it
He
up,
had 8 or 9
he
points.
had I think he had 7 or 8 points,
Yeah.
but which is still a great week, which is still 2 points a game essentially. But like
That's their line.
that's
it.
That's it. You know,
it.
much like a couple weeks ago when St. Louis had all of those points from Kyrou Thomas and Buchnevich, they're all on the same line.
All of their offense.
They didn't have that many points this week.
No.
So
Now,
if you stop that one line, that's always the problem with only having one major line.
but the problem with Edmonton is those two guys have seen to elevate their game, so they're they're hard to stop.
Certainly
They're
they are.
hard
I
to
mean, look,
stop.
they made the Western Conference Finals last year. I'm not trying to dig their success last year. That's a very deep playoff run, one step away from the Stanley Cup final. But eventually, one of the teams, you have to play 4 teams to win a title. One of those teams is going to figure you out if they even have a halfway good defense,
Halfway good defense,
or a pretty good goalie,
or a good head coach that can scheme.
yeah,
Yeah.
that can just scheme against that. So
It's hard.
they'll still score, but not as much, and you won't win.
Yep.
So, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Lifting the cup. All right. Los Angeles
Los
having
Angeles.
a interesting week. They win 1-1-1.
It's all right.
They're having a little bit of problems because while they're still third in the division right now, we're a little too far in the season for season growing pains.
You need to start solidifying your game.
Yes. So they're 13-10-4, but they started the week in an 8-9 overtime loss to Seattle.
Hell yeah, what a game.
Yeah, there was.
I didn't watch those highlights, but hell yeah.
I did. It was.
Yeah.
It basically.
Unfortunately, I have to pick and choose the highlights, or I have to sit there for like an hour and a half and watch them all.
Every dump in was scary at a certain point. They're like, what's gonna happen here?
That's a fun game for us to watch, but like
for all of the fans,
for everybody who's not a fan of those two teams, it's like, oh, this is great. But if you're a fan of one of those two teams, you're like, oh god, just stop them.
Exactly. So goalies were optional this game.
Yeah, for real. Just pull your goalie at that point.
Well, Quick got pulled pretty fast.
I bet.
He was 9 for 14.
Yeah, that's bad.
And then they put in Pettersson, who went 12 for 16. So not better.
Was it after this game they put Pettersson on?
Get into that.
On waivers. Okay.
It's a good thing this game was a home game because they might have not let Pettersson back on the plane. He
so
got
mean.
fired the next day.
Well, he got sent down to the minors.
He got put on waivers.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nobody took him.
Nobody took him because he's
$5
in
million
the first
contract?
year of a 3-year, $5 million contract. So
And he is playing very poorly.
yeah, Peterson. The Kings thought
Oh, whatever. Sorry, my dog's licking her
Peterson
arm.
was going to be the guy in the future to take over Quick. A couple of years ago,
I remember thinking that was an odd choice.
and then
you know,
because there was a couple of years where Quick was looking his age.
I think it was Jack Campbell at that point too. I think, and they had Martin Jones at a certain point too. And did they? I don't think they had Darcy Kemper. For some reason, I feel like they had Darcy Kemper, but
No, I don't. I think Darcy Kemper was only.
maybe I'm just making that up in my head.
Was only Coyotes.
Well, my point is like they had a couple of other goalies that have gone on to be starters on other teams, while Quick was quote unquote in his decline. You know.
Well, what I'm about to say is, Quick's decline seemed to stop, and then he
he went back up. Yeah,
he went back up. Martin Jones was already gone at that point.
that's true. I think that was during one of
That was
when
a
they
cup,
were
that
winning
was a
cups.
cup.
Yeah,
that,
when they
Martin
were
Jones
winning
was a
cups.
backup with a cup run. So
Well,
that was
my favorite part.
decade
just
ago.
to go on a tangent about Martin Jones. My favorite part of that was they traded him to Boston for I think a second round pick or something like that. Something not that consequential. But then Boston like almost immediately traded him to the Sharks.
Oh yeah.
Because the Kings didn't want to trade him in their division, which I get.
Yep.
But then Boston was like, "Ha, suck it." And
Right.
they just sent him right to the Sharks for like a better second round pick. Which it was just so funny. It was within an hour he got traded to the Sharks.
It's
so funny.
It's real fun when teams do that.
Because the same thing happened with
Hoffman.
Yeah, Hoffman got traded from the Senators to the Sharks, and then the Sharks
sent
to
him
the Florida.
Yeah.
And then the Senators were like, well, shit. Because you can't stop it. Like, the other team can't stop that, you know?
Yeah, but they already got. Then they got Carlson.
I think there was some trade recently that they put one of the conditions on a draft pick or something was like, you cannot trade him to someone in our division or something like that.
The stupid like Monahan trade?
I think it might have been. It was a trade recently.
The one that we needed lawyers to like look at
Yeah,
to
it was
like
so
understand.
long. Yeah, it was something like that where it was like you cannot trade him within a year of having him, or this first round pick becomes a fourth round pick. It was something insane like that. It was just like I know exactly why they're doing this because they don't want him to be traded to like Edmonton or somebody.
Yeah. All right. So after that craziness with Seattle,
we went through one game of LA.
Yeah, they beat Arizona,
as they should,
and then they lost to Carolina, which again makes sense.
No
That's
shame
fine.
there. Yeah.
Power play was actually killing it. It was 5 for 12.
How many of those were in the first game?
Only 2.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
They were 2 for 4. 2 for 4, but they gave up a shorthanded in the second game, and then 1 for 4. So 5 for 12.
Pretty good. That's pretty dang good. Almost 50%.
Almost 50%. You know, it was also 50%. It was their
penalty
kill. Was,
Ooh, that would make some sense.
Which was 6 for 10.
Makes some sense.
6 for 10. Most of that damage was against Seattle, but yeah. Fiala is their top player this week with 1 goal and 5 assists. So
nice.
he's putting in the work, which makes
he's getting there.
Which is good because of
when guys go to a new team
for.
after having like a big year, it takes them a little bit. Like look at Jonathan Huberdeau, he's not like killing it right now. Look at Goudreau. Goudreau's actually playing pretty well, but like not to the same estimations as he was last year.
Right, but and like
I thought it was funny. Goudreau's actually on pace to break all of Columbus's records for like points and assists and stuff, which I think is really funny. If he plays all 82 games.
But yet, Huberdeau was on Florida for 10 years.
Yeah.
Him and Barkov.
They had chemistry.
Could pass to each
they
other.
Had tons of chemistry.
Without looking.
I'm sure he'll build that chemistry with Elias Lindholm eventually. Elias Lindholm's also a very good center. But, it'll take some time. It doesn't happen immediately.
All right. Next up is San Jose. They
Sharks.
went 1-3 this week. They're not that good of a team, so it makes sense. They shut out Montreal. And this was on a East Coast road trip for them. So all these were away.
I feel like the Sharks are... Sorry to interrupt you. I feel like the Sharks are that team that you're like, they shouldn't be good, but sometimes they win games. And I feel like it's chiefly because of Erik Karlsson. Because he is still playing pretty well.
He is still playing very well.
He looks like his old self for the first time in like 6 years.
Also, like, Kakinen will pull out a game where he goes 28 for 28 and gets a shutout.
Yeah.
Like,
they have some pieces that look pretty good sometimes.
Yes.
So
the week started by shutting out Montreal 4-0. Then they lost to Toronto, which is no shame there.
No.
Then they could not stop Ottawa's offense, losing 2-5. That 5 looked like a 0 for a second. I'm just like, that's not right.
That's not correct. The Sharks got -2 goals.
Yeah, what happened? All right, losing 2-5, and then they lost to Buffalo 2-6. So their defense fell in the back end.
Be so funny if in sports the refs could assess you a minus goal for like if somebody on your team got a game misconduct, they just like remove a goal from your score.
Yes, that'd be terrifying.
Looking at you, Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, I knew you. That's who you were thinking.
I got a lot to say about him.
Pelly kill was also bad at 13 for 18.
Yeah, that's not great. I mean, they
18 penalties in 4 games.
That's a lot of penalties.
They don't have a top player either. They are 8, 16, and
fair.
4. We're gonna keep going to Seattle. They went 2-1 this week.
Yeah, cracking.
They're still crack-a-lacking.
Hell yeah.
And
I'm cheering for them. I love them.
15, 6, and 3 for the season. They are
That's awesome. What a record. Look at
second
them.
in the division. Everything's coming together for them.
Look what a little dash of goaltending could do for a team.
We already talked about the LA Kings victory.
That back and forth.
Martin Jones played the entire game.
Oh, that poor bastard. He let up 8 goals.
He let in 8 goals.
Man.
Then they beat Washington in overtime, 7 seconds into overtime.
Yes, they did. Matty Benier scored that goal.
Yeah. This is not a Cavs-specific thing, but I don't like the face-off plan of winning it and just sending it directly back to your defender.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Especially in overtime. That's
like when you're
there's
3 on
only
3.
3 people, yeah.
So
I'll be honest. I thought you were gonna say, I'll be honest. I don't like that he goes by Matty. You're an adult.
He's not an adult yet.
Shout
so it's
out
fine.
to
this man is a child.
Go ahead. I have to think of the guy's name.
So Eller won the face-off, sent it back to Karlsson, who misplayed it, and Beniers was just on it and
just dunked it in.
And then they lost bad to Florida. So Florida finished the week strong. Their special teams was exactly 50%.
Both of them?
Yes.
Nice.
4 for 8 on the power play, 6 for 12 on the penalty kill.
Oh my God. Jesus.
They won
Christ.
2 games.
Hey, man. Sometimes it works out, you know?
Jordan Eberle is actually their top player. While Beniers did have 3 goals, including that game winner against Washington, Eberle had 5 assists. And at some point during this week was
that's who it was.
Top, had the most assists in the league before, Matthews played a couple more games. Or McDavid played a couple more games.
Well,
For a hot second, he was the assist leader.
For a hot second. Going off my joke.
Your Maddie.
Before, my Maddie joke. Shout out to my mom, who is probably listening. I remember that she used to say, you remember who Chipper Jones was from the Braves? She was like,
Chip.
She was like, that's a grown man. He should not go by Chipper. I was like, I think that's just his name, Mom. And she's like, I don't care. I don't like it.
Good old Chip.
It's like if your name's Buddy. It's like, who names their kid Buddy?
Just go by Bud at that point.
Bud, yeah. Love you, Mom.
I was gonna try to incorporate that with the Boudreaux, but I couldn't.
Chipper Boudreaux.
Bud Boudreaux.
Bud Boudreaux.
All right,
He looks like his name might be Bud.
Yeah.
Could be.
Bruce.
Bud.
Buddy Bruce. 1 and 2 this week. Reverse of last week. They lost. All right, their 2 losses, they got stomped 1-5, both of them, to Washington and Florida.
Whoops.
And then they beat Arizona in overtime. So that's what they should be doing.
At least they beat Arizona.
Yeah.
And here I was thinking Vancouver maybe had gotten there. I mean, their record's not terrible.
Why would you think that? They're 10, 12, and 3.
I just want them to be good. I just want them to be good.
I'm snorting the hopium too, but it's just not happening.
But now all of my hopium is going to Seattle. So
we're spirit
the other Pacific Northwest
spirit bombing
team
them. Take our energy. They don't get a top player.
Yeah.
They scored 2 goals, or they scored 3 goals total.
Ugh.
Nope, my bad.
4 goals.
5.
No, 5 goals.
5 goals total.
We can't do math.
Nope. Can't do it.
It's like 7:00 and we're drinking beer. Leave us alone.
Leave me alone. I'm 30.
You're 31. Oh wait, you're 31 in 10 days. Actually,
there it is.
Yeah.
All right, finishing up with Vegas, 2-1 this week. So they're clearly top
Keeping
of the division.
That hold, yeah.
18-7-1.
Damn.
Shootout win against Columbus, then losing to Pittsburgh, and then stomping on Detroit at the end. Power play was good, 3 for 8, almost 50%. Their goalies are going to be their top player because there's just a lot of love.
I will say their goalies really kept them in that Pittsburgh game too.
Well, Thompson saved them for the Columbus game, and then Hill actually stood on his head for the Detroit game. So Vegas has a good young goalie in Thompson. In Logan Thompson.
For now.
I mean, until...
For now. Things can change.
Again, goalies are like good baseball relievers. They are just basket cases and can fall off a cliff for no reason any point.
You could tell them their shoes look weird today, and then they'll lose like 10 games
and that's their career.
Yeah, and then their career's over.
All right. News for the Pacific. We already talked about Peterson getting waived, and that's only a big deal because of
their contract.
The contract and that game.
It's so funny that they were like, you can go to the AHL now.
Next day. It was...
Yeah.
It might have been... They might have told him at that game.
And like,
you're going to
the minors.
You're going from...
Yeah. Or you're going to another team.
You're going from LA to Ontario. Get out.
It's Ontario, California.
Yeah, I know. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
You mess with everybody's brains. Like, oh, there's also an Ontario, California. The Ontario Reign.
Yep. So, yeah, I didn't make that mistake booking a hotel at one point.
You figured it out in the end.
Yeah, when I got there and my reservation wasn't. So
funny. So funny.
Yeah, it's been 5 years. It's hilarious at this point.
It was hilarious then.
Oh yeah, it was.
You still got the job.
It's not the point. All right, Anaheim. Grant is out with an undisclosed injury, and then Lundstrom is on the IR with a broken finger.
Oh,
so
he'll be back.
I think he had surgery, so he's out for some weeks.
Yeah, but he'll be back though, so it's not the worst injury, you know. Be funny if he came back and like two of his glove fingers were like taped together.
I would do that.
You know, it'd be pretty funny.
But I'm also insane.
And you could poke guys' eyes out with it.
Fogle is day to day for Edmonton.
Not Warren.
I know, man. Fogle's a great name. And
it does not look like it should be said that way.
Miklod. We've established this at this point.
McLeod.
Is on the IR, and it didn't say why. That's it. I'm done.
Undisclosed. Well, you're done for now.
I'm done.
Until I'm done with the Metro division.
I'm done.
We're going to talk about the Metro. Carolina went 3-0 this week.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Pittsburgh in overtime, where Sebastian Aho had 2 assists. Andrei Svechnikov. Evgeny is the other Svechnikov.
Who plays somewhere else.
For Winnipeg, maybe? Andrei Svechnikov had a goal and an assist. Brett Pesce had the overtime game winner. He scored that overtime game winner after somebody boarded Brian Rust. They did not call a penalty. The Penguins were arguing it, and then Carolina just walked down the ice.
How bitter are you?
I'm pretty mad about it because it was like a pretty easy call. And then I'm also mad at the Penguins for
not playing the whistle.
Yeah, for not playing till the whistle. But that's neither here nor there. Carolina won. I'm not going to bitch about it until I get to the Penguins again. Carolina then beat St. Louis 6-4. Jordan Martinook had a hat trick in this game, while Brett Burns had a goal and an assist. St. Louis had a bad week.
Yes.
As you will hear further and further.
Yes.
But then Carolina beat LA 4-2, as Clay already mentioned. Martin Necas had a goal and an assist, while Brett Burns had 2 assists.
I mean, Burns scored against the Kings.
Burns scoring. He's looked pretty good for Carolina so far. However, he's not their top player. Their top player is their goalie, Kochetkov, who is not Antti Raanta or Freddie Anderson for those keeping score at home. But he went 3-0 this week with a .934 save percentage and a 2.11 goals against. He played particularly well against the Penguins. I watched that entire game. The other 2 games I just watched highlights. But he played well.
Yeah.
And he looks like a pretty good young goalie. And that begs the question why they have Freddie Anderson and Antti Raanta. But, whatever.
Well, they didn't think...
But one of them is always on the injured reserve anyway.
They didn't think he'd come up yet.
Probably not.
It's just like he's not ready yet.
And one of the other 2 is always on the IR anyway, so it works out.
It's the same thing with, Logan Thompson. He's
That's
good
true.
for now.
That's true.
We'll see what happens.
It'll be really interesting. I believe it's Freddie Anderson that is on the IR currently. And they can't send Kochetkov down with him playing this way, even if he's waiver exempt.
Right.
That's just going to hurt his confidence. So you send Antti Raanta down? Somebody will definitely take Antti Raanta.
Oh, yeah.
I think. Because he can still play. He's just, a little injury prone.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Carolina. Columbus 1-1 this week. Started the week off by losing in a shootout to Vegas, like Clay already mentioned. Not Goudreau. That's the other Goudreau. They're not related as far as I'm aware.
No, Freddie Hockey.
That's Freddie Hockey, yeah. Johnny Hockey, Johnny Goudreau, had a goal and an assist in this game, while Gustav Nyquist had 2 assists. Columbus then beat Winnipeg pretty bad, 4-1. Winnipeg outshot them 38-26.
Wow.
But as always, possession doesn't always mean you win.
Nope.
Goudreau had 3 assists in this game. Lionel had 2 goals against his former team, while Jonas Korpisalo had made 37 of 38 saves for the victory, and then they ended the week by losing to Detroit 4-2.
Yeah, I forgot. When I made my outline, I didn't see that game, so
I think it happened yesterday. Or last night.
It did, but I was.
Oh, you just put it in there, and you're like, oh, they did win.
Oh, they had another game. Oh no.
Yeah. Columbus's penalty kill was 3 for 5 in that game. Boone Jenner had 2 assists. Their top player of this week is Johnny Hockey himself with a goal and 5 assists.
Wow.
And like I said, if he plays the full 82-game season and keeps up the average of his scoring, currently he will break the Columbus records for assists and points.
That's very telling.
Yeah. And the record for assists is like 65 or something like that. And the record for points is like 93.
It's not good.
Well, Columbus, to be fair,
they're new and they've always been bad.
Well, they're not new at this point. They're like 20 plus years old at this point. But they, for a long time in their beginning, they were very bad all the time.
Well, also they were kind of a defensive-minded team.
Well, definitely under John, Tortorella. They were a much more defensive-minded team. Yes.
So
they didn't have top scorers.
Even with Panarin doing Panarin
that's true.
things.
Yeah, that's true. He was only there for a couple of years before he bolted. But yeah, the Devils keep deviling. 2-0-1 this week. They beat their hated rivals, the New York Rangers, 5-3, where Sharon Govich had 2 goals. Thomas Tater had a goal and an assist, and they came back from being down 2-0 in that game to score 5 of the next 6 goals.
Wow.
To win 5-3. Sorry, just adjusting my legs. Then they lost to Nashville in overtime, 4-3, where Eric Howla had 2 assists. Jack Hughes also had 2 assists. New Jersey then finished off the week by mercifully beating the Philadelphia Flyers 3-2 in a closer game than you might think, where the Flyers actually outshot the Devils 33-18.
Really?
This is the first game I think New Jersey has been kept under even 25 shots, as far as I'm aware.
I believe you're right. I think
it was
a big deal that someone limited them to 25.
Yeah, they had been averaging like 40 shots for a while, and then somebody a couple of weeks ago kept them under 30.
How many shots were they limited to?
18. That has to be their lowest of the season.
No one's limited to
that. Has to be the lowest of the season, but they still won.
20.
Yeah.
Before. This is the first time they've been limited to less than 20.
Yeah, definitely. Miles Wood had 2 assists in this game. Jack Hughes is their top player of the week with 2 goals.
I was in Philly that night, actually.
Were you?
Yeah. I got a cheesesteak.
Sorry.
That was Saturday.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you drove all the way down.
Yeah, I did.
To Baltimore. You just stopped there.
Gotcha, we stopped in Philly, got cheesesteak. It was great.
Gotcha. Let's move on to the Islanders, who were 1-2 this week. They started the week with a very shameful loss to the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
3-1.
Yeah.
Was the end of that game. Not much to say other than that. Shame on you, Islanders. Then they lost to Nashville, who's real hot right now, so no shame in that one. 4-1 was the end score of that.
2 weeks ago, that would have been very shameful.
2 weeks ago, that would have been shameful, but Nashville is on a roll currently. The Islanders outshot Nashville in this game 49-23. They were 1 for 3 on the penalty kill, but the score's a little deceiving. There were 2 empty net goals in this game too. So really, it was 2-1.
Yeah,
really. But then they finished off the week on a high note by shutting out Chicago 3-0. They outshot Chicago 40-21, and Varlamov made 21 saves for that shutout, and he's their top player because he only played that one game and he got a shutout.
Yeah, no, he deserves it.
Yeah. Next up is the Slumpin' Rangers. 1-2-1 this week. As I already mentioned, they lost to New Jersey where they blew a 2-0 lead to lose 5-3. Keandre Miller did have 2 assists, and Jake Trouba tried to kill Nico Hischier.
Yes, he did.
He missed, though.
He missed.
In a pretty funny way. He totally missed. But let's keep that in the back of our heads for a moment as he was trying to put his elbow in the back of Nico Hischier's head through the front of his head.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Chicago game. Never mind.
No, I'm going to mention that one, too.
No, that was clean. Athanasiou?
Was it?
He didn't lead with the elbow.
He left his feet.
I have to look at.
Let's talk about the 2 games. Between that, they beat Ottawa 3-1. Lindgren had 3 assists in that game, while Halak made 34 of 35 saves. They then lost to Ottawa in overtime 3-2.
Yes, they did.
Not much else to say about that game.
That was a crazy game.
You could talk more.
I will
about that. But then they lost to Chicago 5-2.
Oh, they lost to Chicago.
Yes, they did.
Oh.
Artemi Panarin did have 2 assists in this game, while Zibanejad had a goal and an assist. Trouba had a pretty good high hit on Athanasiou that were split upon, apparently.
I disagree that it's a high hit. I think it's a solid check right in the center of his chest.
I thought he left his feet.
It depends on when you leave when he left his feet, because if it's at contact, that's just energy. Like,
here's the other thing though, I'm not really gonna be charitable to Trouba about hits like this.
That's fair.
Just because this same week he definitely had an attempted high hit.
That's
where he led with his elbow.
That's not a question.
And then didn't he also do something in the Ottawa game?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, you can expound upon.
I didn't go that far into it, but he did
he got in a fight with Tkachuk.
Tkachuk, yeah.
But then Tkachuk tied and won the game.
Yes,
if I remember correctly, which is just really funny. And Trouba just kind of in general not having a good year.
He's not having a good year.
By scoring, he's not a big time scoring defenseman, but like metrics aren't very good either.
But as a defensive defenseman, he's not playing.
He's not playing very well either, and he's just trying to throw these big hits, some of which may or may not be clean. But then I've even seen Rangers fans online being like, yeah, he tries to throw these hits, but then it takes him out of like position like 50% of the time.
Man, when the year that Chara was on the Capitals, I was so annoyed with him like half the time, because he would like keep dogpiling on a dude and then not play his like defensive spot, and then someone would other team would fill that
right around him.
Fill that opening and score. Yeah.
That seems to be what a lot of Rangers fans are thinking right now of their captain, Jacob Trouba, who is getting paid $8 million a year to not be very good, at least currently.
Yeah.
He might turn it around. We're only like 20. We're not 30 games into the season.
No, we're not.
So he could turn his season around. But currently, he's not looking great.
Look, I will look for a reason to dogpile on the Rangers. But
shout out all our Rangers fans.
We do have at least one. You know it.
I hate your team.
But
not as much as Devils fans though. I've seen
true.
So many Devils fans eviscerate the Rangers online.
And Winnipeg will jump on Trouba any chance they can.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because he was like, I don't want to play here, and forced his way out, essentially.
I will give Trouba no shame on that, because his girlfriend, now wife, got her residency in New York City.
That's fair.
And was just like...
That's fair.
We
need to go there.
Her career matters. So,
well, that makes him a good husband then.
Exactly.
So maybe not a bad person off the ice, much like Brad Marchand. Yeah. Very good person off the ice. I'm not going to say that I don't know everything about Jake Trouba, but at least he supports his wife.
Exactly.
Let's say that.
So that move to New York, while it did tank his value because he was only going to New York.
Yeah. Well, he could have gone. I guess there's 3 teams he could have gone to, really.
Yeah, but that commute's a bitch.
Rangers, Islanders, Devils.
If you're in Newark or like the island, that commute is a bitch.
I mean, he's getting paid $8 million a year. I'm just saying, it softens the blow a little bit.
Yes, it softens the blow, but a residency is.
My neighbors are being a little loud. In case you guys hear that, they're having a party or something.
A residency is a lot, so you need.
I get it. I get it. I understand.
But imagine there's no easy way to go from Newark to Manhattan, outside of.
Is there not?
I mean, yeah,
Isn't Newark just like a ferry ride away?
Newark
these are semantics at this point. We're just talking about geography.
New Jersey, so you can.
No, I know that, but isn't it just like across the bay from New York City? I thought that's where Newark was.
No, that's New York.
Am I wrong?
Newark is east, or Newark is west of
Don't make me
the
pull
city.
Up the map.
Pull up the map. Yeah, you can hop on a train, but if you're driving, traffic's always going to suck because you got to get on the GW or the Holland Tunnel.
Oh God, I hate the GW.
Exactly.
But again, I don't make $8 million a year.
Or if you're
New York City's right here.
And again, tunnels and bridges. He brought up a map. Or if you're on...
Play along at home. Look up Newark.
Or if you're on the island for the Islanders.
That one I understand is a bitch of a drive.
You're over here in this
You're like...
No, you're
here?
Yeah, it's not that far.
There? Okay. I guess that's not that bad. Not as bad as I thought,
but the Long Island Railroad sucks.
Oh yeah, you've taken it before.
Yeah,
I didn't realize Brooklyn was technically on
the island.
the island. Huh.
Brooklyn, Queens, that's the island.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I don't know. I'm just saying he could pay the tolls to go across the GW.
It's not about the pain. It's not about the pain. It's the time of his life.
Whatever. Whatever. Anyway.
I'm a bum, and I would find that annoying as hell.
Mika Zibanejad had a good week. He had 3 goals and 2 assists. Isn't this what you guys listen to this podcast for? To us,
yep.
Us arguing about geography and the semantics of driving across the GW bridge to a guy who makes $8 million.
Or the Holland Tunnel.
Or the Holland Tunnel. All the way to Holland, Europe.
Yep.
It's a long-ass tunnel.
Those dikes, man.
You can't say that word.
All right, tell me about Mika Zibanejad, you asshole.
I told you he had 3 goals and 2 assists. Let's talk about Philadelphia. Whew. All right, Philadelphia started their week by beating the Islanders 3-1. Kevin Hayes had 2 goals. Sedlak had 2 assists. Carter Hart, 23 of 24 in that game. Pretty good. They broke a 10-game... Stop laughing. Broke a 10-game losing streak. I'm telling our lesbian coworker that you said that. that you said the D word.
Which one?
The one that's always there.
Okay.
Not the one that's part-time.
Neither are part-time.
What?
It's just a split week. Continue.
Okay. Then they lost 4-1 to Tampa Bay with a very embarrassing goal let in by Carter Hart.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
I believe, who was it? Was it Killorn? I don't remember who it was. Oh no, it was Ian Cole.
Yeah.
He kind of just dumped a puck into the zone, but it took a weird bounce off the end boards and just hit Carter Hart's pads and went right in the net. It happens.
It's always
it happens, but you
happens.
have to get dunked on when it happens.
Yeah.
Ruth's trying to be on the podcast right now.
Yes, she is in my lap.
She's trying to get into her uncle's lap. But yeah, that's really all to say about that game. They then finished off the week by losing to New Jersey 3-2, as I just mentioned, and another mistake behind the net by Carter Hart led to New Jersey's second goal, where he tried to clear the puck. He tried to clear it forward, and a Devils player was right there. It went off his shin directly to another Devils player who just slam dunked it into the net. I believe it was Dawson Mercer who slam dunked it into the net for the Devils, and that's it for their week. They don't really get a top player.
No,
kind of a bummer of a couple of games for Carter Hart there. But hey, his first game of the week was pretty good.
Yes.
Let's move on to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh started their week by losing in overtime, not a shootout, as I wrote down, to Carolina 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Gensel and Sidney Crosby each had a goal and an assist in that game. They then followed that up by beating Vegas 4-3 in regulation.
Yes.
The shots, and I'm just highlighting this because there was a lot of shots in this game by both teams.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh outshot Vegas 47-37.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of shots. And that's not even counting the shots that were blocked or were just generally missed. Yeah. Pittsburgh was 1 for 3 on the penalty kill in that game. Pretty bad. Brock McGinn, Kapanen, and Gensel each had a goal and an assist in that game. And you want to hear a weird stat?
Sure.
Since signing Brock McGinn, not this past offseason, but the one before that, they are 17-1-1 when Brock McGinn scores a goal in a game.
Okay, yeah, I remember talking to you about this.
And I remember when I told you before, because I was like, that's such a weird stat. You were like, well, that just means their depth is scoring.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, if your depth is scoring, you're going to win a game.
So when their depth, specifically when Brock McGinn, part of their depth, scores 17-1-1 over the last 2 seasons. It's crazy. It's a weird stat.
If a dude like that...
And generally, Brock McGinn is having a great year so far.
Yeah.
He's not a big-time goal scorer, but he has like 6 or 7 goals already this year.
But that's one of the things. If Brock McGinn is scoring, you're definitely winning a game.
My dog just brought in all of her blankets.
Just brought the blankets.
To kill.
Yep.
While we're talking. And then Pittsburgh finished off the week by beating St. Louis 6-2.
You want to talk about that goalie incident now or later?
I'll talk about it when we get to St. Louis,
right,
because I feel like it really applies more to St. Louis than it does to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was 2 for 4 on the power play in this game. Kasperi Kapanen had a hat trick.
Good for him.
2 of which I think it was 2 were on the power play. I don't think it was all 3.
No, it was 2.
Oh, the first one was right after the power play ended, but they were all essentially scored the exact same way. He just went to the far side of the net and sat there, and somebody just fed the puck right onto his stick, and it bounced right into the net.
Perfect.
And if he would like to do that for the rest of the season, that would be great. He'll score 40 goals. Because we have Pittsburgh has plenty of guys that are really good at passing the puck.
Yeah.
Crosby, Malkin, but even like Gensel and P.O. Joseph. P.O. Joseph had a really good assist in that game. That's why I mentioned him. But Petrie, guys like that, very good at passing the puck. So if he would like to just hang out right in front of the net, I bet he'll score a bunch of goals.
And then he'll get a bunch of money.
Well, he signed through next year.
After that.
Or Pittsburgh will trade him for a lot. Come on. However, Brian Rust had a goal and 3 assists in this game. One of those assists was on the Kapanen goal. Jason Zucker continuing to have a good hot season so far. A goal and 2 assists.
He's good when he plays.
He's fingers crossed staying healthy this year.
Oh, you should.
Although Jordan Binnington really tried to stop that.
You shouldn't have said that.
Evgeny Malkin also had 3 assists in this game. Yeah, please God, please. I just feel so bad for him. He has gotten hurt every season he's been on the Penguins.
And before.
And like crazy freak injuries.
Leg breaks.
He broke both of his legs. Please give the man a mostly healthy season. Come on. Kasperi Kapanen is one of their top players this week with 4 goals and an assist. Jake Gensel is their other top player with 2 goals and 3 assists. Pretty good week for Pittsburgh, who have recovered from their 7-game losing streak at this point. Washington 1-1-1 this week. They beat up on Vancouver in the first game of the week, where Ovechkin had 2 goals, which put him at most road goals ever.
Yep.
Which is a crazy stat. And he beat out
Gretzky.
But hey, that's 1 goal record that he took from Gretzky. He's coming for you, the great one. And then you will be the less great one. Anthony Mantha also had a goal and an assist in that game. Anthony Manthony. They then lost in overtime to Seattle, as Clay already mentioned, 3-2. Ovi had 2 assists.
Yep.
While Sherry had a goal and an assist in that game. And then they lost to Calgary 5-2. Not much to say for Washington.
No, I think at least one of those goals was empty net, but either way.
I think so. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was close. It was late.
You're right.
Because I thought that too, and then I was looking at, no, you're right. You're right. What happened was I was looking at the NHL.com breakdown for the game, and they actually didn't have the last goal listed as an empty net goal, but I watched the highlights. I was like, Elias Lindholm scored an empty net goal.
Yeah.
Ovechkin is their top player this week with 2 goals and 2 assists. Let's talk about news and injuries, because we have some pretty devastating injuries, if you want to call them injuries.
I forgot that was
this week.
Chris
Letang for the Pittsburgh Penguins is out indefinitely after suffering his 2nd minor stroke of his career.
Yep.
So he had a stroke in 2014. Thankfully, he was not hospitalized either times, but obviously it's crazy because he's like 35.
The dude has a hole in his heart.
Yeah, and the reason he had both of these strokes is because he has like a pinhole-sized hole in his heart.
Yeah. That
caused them. But he's fine. He was not hospitalized. He is in good spirits. He keeps hanging around at practice, even though they're like, you're not practicing yet.
Are you sure? He's just like, are you sure?
The team is like, he is out indefinitely until we figure out like a good plan of action here.
I mean, Evander Kane was skating around recently.
I actually think Chris Letang was skating the other day too. But just for now, he is out indefinitely. Another player who is out indefinitely is Jacob Voracek, who is likely out for the rest of the year with concussion issues.
Yep.
Which sucks.
I mean, he said he had like at least 4 or 5
he might retire
diagnosed, plus the other like little ones. So like the
ones
you're not
Voracek
sure.
is, I think, in his mid-30s too. That might be the bell toll for his career, unfortunately.
You want to look about your long-term health.
Of course.
Right.
And he's made plenty of money to be fine for the rest of his life.
All right, I'm going to talk about the Atlantic real fast.
Oh, it doesn't have to be fast.
It doesn't have to be, but it's going to be.
These people are already listening. Don't turn it off.
Don't turn it off. All right.
You have to keep listening.
Boston is going to keep doing Boston things. And is 2-0 this week.
Yeah.
They are 23-0.
Man, that's nuts.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Remember when we thought they were going to regress?
Let me just go ahead and manifest something. They're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs.
I'm
manifesting it.
And by you
to Toronto.
You manifest that, they're not going to win the cup. Thanks.
Damn it.
Starting the week winning against Tampa, and then curb stomping Colorado to finish out their week.
They did.
They only had 2 games.
Yeah. They really beat Colorado.
They curb stomped them. It was 5-1.
Yeah.
And reverse retros for both games. Pooh Bears.
Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bears.
I was like, no, it's not Meth Bear. Meth Bear's the other one.
Meth Bear's the Heritage. Pooh Bears.
But you know what? Neither one of them is Cocaine Bear. In theaters, February 24th. I can't wait for that movie. It looks really stupid, but I'm gonna love it.
It looks so stupid.
We should get hammered and go see it.
Taylor Hall, 2 goals and an assist in those 2 games. That's all I gotta say about them. Because
shut up, Boston.
Exactly, I hate it.
Hate you.
Buffalo.
There you go.
2-1-1.
Mister, I never want to talk into my mic.
No, don't listen to me. 2-1-1 this week.
Is that my voice? Is that my voice?
Gross. 11-13-1 on the season overall. They're last in the division.
Bummer.
Actually, that might have changed since the Sunday game.
I saw somebody tweet that in their last 7, they're like 4-2-1. So that's good.
It is. They
just had a real bad stretch there.
They're trending well.
Bit, yeah.
They lost to Tampa in overtime to start the week. Then they beat Detroit in a shootout. Then they lost to Colorado, which there's no shame in doing.
No.
4-6 that game. That was kind of like a Seattle Kings game, and when
really back and forth.
Defense was optional until that 6th goal was an empty net. So they were right on top of each other that entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stomped San Jose 6-3. Like I mentioned earlier. A lot of penalties and on both sides. So 5 for 14 on power play.
It's not bad.
Penalty kill was not good.
What was it?
They had to kill off 18 penalties in 4 games.
Man, there's a lot of your teams are taking a lot of penalties this week. I guess I didn't look at all of mine, but
in Tampa was 4. Detroit, they killed off 7 for 7 with a shorthanded goal.
That's 8 for 7 right there.
Right there.
8 for 7, 87, Sidney Crosby.
Gross. Then they were 3 for 6 against Colorado. And then 0 for 1 against...
At least it was only 1.
0 for 1 against San Jose. But I forgot to mention that 1 for 4 against Tampa. So they were 11 for 18 on the penalty kill.
Oh, my God. And that was with one game where they went 7 for 7.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. Dylan Cousins is their top player with 4 goals and 5 assists. Also, Darlene lit up Nito on...
Not the
San
rider.
Jose.
Not Nito rider.
Shut up.
You're so mean to me.
Yeah, it got to be sometimes. But they brought out the old alternate goat heads.
Yeah.
San
They look
Jose.
slick in those.
Oh, they're so good.
Slick in those.
Buffalo really has like the best jerseys.
If only they had the best team.
Yeah.
I think they have a promising team. They just need
do.
to like figure it all out.
Again, we've mentioned this a long time ago. Yeah. So yeah, Dylan Cousins, 4 goals, 5 assists.
Teams we want to be good: Vancouver and Buffalo. And our teams, obviously.
So yeah, they had a very good week. They scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, They just also let in a lot of goals.
They also let in a lot of goals. Yeah. All right, so they let in. That's 12 plus 7, 19. Woof.
Yep.
And then they scored 15.
Really, they were only a -2.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
But
honestly,
they were 2-1-1.
I guess they won 2 of those games, but
one's a shootout, so I didn't count that extra little thing.
Okay.
But
yeah,
they're fun to watch.
Yeah,
better or worse, they're fun to watch. All right,
we don't need goalies.
Goalie's optional. Detroit is up.
We don't need no goalie. Let this motherfucker burn. Burn, motherfucker.
Burn. Detroit
Buffalo's motto.
1-2-1 this week. They are 12-7-5 overall. They lost to Toronto to start the week. I've talked about all these games, and then Bert talked about the one. So I lied. I didn't talk about Toronto.
You didn't talk about Toronto.
Shut up.
You fucking liar.
But then it was Buffalo, Vegas, and Columbus. So I talked about the rest of those games. Beating Columbus, losing to Buffalo and Vegas. They were... Power play wasn't good. Just going to say that.
Okay.
Penalty kill. 8. They had to kill off 8 penalties.
3.
4.
Oh, I was so close.
Exactly 50%.
I was so close. That's bad.
It's so bad. Yeah. It's a lot of bad penalty kills. Bad. It's really fun to watch for me. But Oscar Sundqvist is their top player with 3 goals and 1 assist. Those 4 games. They're in the middle of the division.
Yeah, they're in the hunt. I believe they have a wild card spot now.
They do have a wild card spot right now.
They have the second one.
Because the Atlantic is kind of crazy.
We'll go over the standings real quick at the end.
All right, next up is Florida, who went on that Pacific road trip that I mentioned earlier. They did a lot better than I thought. They were 2-1-1.
That's not that bad.
Edmonton, overtime loss. Calgary lost, but then beating up on Vancouver and Seattle. 4 for 14 on that power play. Penalty kill was good. They are 12-9-4 overall. Maddie Tkachuk.
Chipper Tkachuk
is their top player with 3 goals and 4 assists. I kind of talked about all their stuff.
Buddy Tkachuk.
I talked about all their stuff earlier with going back to Calgary for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to Montreal, 1-2 this week. It's not good, but it's kind of what you expect from Montreal this season. But what you don't expect is they're 12-11-1. So they are 500.
They're exactly 500.
With a loser point.
Yeah.
So shut out by San Jose at home, and then they went on a Alberta road trip, beating Calgary, and then losing to Edmonton. Sean Monahan scored 2 assists on his return to Calgary.
That's got to feel good.
The man was in tears.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, poor boy.
Because a reporter asked just anything that you want to say to Calgary.
I'm so sorry.
More, he was just he choked up and started tearing up, and he said thank you.
That's sweet.
I know.
That's sweet.
The man loves Calgary.
What a sweet boy.
Allen is going to be their top player, really only for the Calgary game, where he went 45 for 46.
Jesus. Good for him.
Yes. Otherwise,
he's we don't need Carey Price.
No.
I'm here.
I mean, kind of. They need defense in front of him.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Coughing up. Now I'm fine.
Coughing up a hairball over
there. They need defense in front of him.
Make sure you cough all that COVID everywhere.
All right. Then I'll get top player otherwise. Next up is Ottawa, 2-1.
There you go.
10-13-1, which is bad.
It's better than they were doing.
Yeah, what they were doing.
Yeah. They're still under 500, but...
So it's the New York Rangers games that Bert talked about were a home and an away, which is always fun.
Now let's look up the commute between Ottawa and New York City. Could Jacob Trouba have lived in Ottawa and commuted to?
He would have taken a lot of private flights.
Oh, yeah, he would have, yeah. They would have landed just outside the GW Bridge, and then he would have had to drive
You can look up. So each airplane on their tail has a number. It's basically its own specific number. And you can actually look up what amount of rich people are taking flights from JFK to LaGuardia to dodge the traffic there. Oh, it's infuriating.
I'm not going to look that up because it's going to make me really mad.
It's really maddening.
They're like 20 miles apart.
Not even.
Not even?
No, they're not.
Oh, my God.
Just to dodge traffic.
Oh, God. I mean, I get it, but... Because that traffic's terrible. But, like, also... Get fucked. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I think there's a train that goes between them.
There is.
Oh, my God.
But that's for the pores.
That's for you pores. Get on the train.
So.
Listen to too many zoos play and annoy you on the train. That joke was only for Clay.
That really cut.
That was only for Clay.
And maybe Mark.
Maybe. Or anybody that Clay has made listen to too many zoos. I mean, I like them. Don't get me wrong. They're fun. They're a fun music.
What about Moon Hooch? Have you listened?
I
to
have
Moon
no
Hooch?
idea who that is, and we are not looking it up after the podcast.
You should listen to Moon Hooch. They actually blended together with Too Many Zoos to make another band called Thundersmack, and you should check it out.
Too Many Zunes is what Microsoft had when they tried to sell the Zune when people had iPods.
Boo.
You read your next team.
It's zoos.
You said Zunes. You just said it. Rewind to the podcast.
Zoos.
I was saying Zooherns.
One and one in that.
We're killing it tonight, folks. Right? We're killing it with all these top-notch jokes.
Top-notch hockey commentary.
We're doing just as good as Jack Edwards. At least we're not calling Pat Maroon fat. Clay's face was so funny.
Edwards might have Alzheimer's.
Then he shouldn't be calling hockey games.
I agree.
Don't be trying to make me feel bad about this.
The man has disease.
I think the man was drunk. He was like, that fat ass Pat Maroon.
It's like Gary Thorne commenting on like Orioles games and now Mets games.
Congratulations, Mets.
Gary Thorne's a treasure.
Oh, excuse me.
Do not disrespect that man. They split the series, as we talked about.
Who are we even talking about?
Ottawa? Yeah. Brady Tkachuk was the better Tkachuk this night.
I lost my mind. I forgot who we were talking about.
That second game where Ottawa won in overtime, Tkachuk had a Gordie Howe hat trick.
Hey.
2 goals and an assist.
Hell yeah.
The game-time
and
goal.
A fight.
That's the Gordie Howe.
I'm just saying, in case people don't know.
Gordie Howe is a goal, an assist, and a fight.
Yeah. And then he added another goal on top of it.
It did. Gordie Howe had very few Gordie Howe hat tricks.
That's funny.
Yeah, he only had
he just fought a lot.
He only had 3.
He scored a lot of goals and fought a lot.
So. Right. The reason it's a Gordie Howe called a Gordie Howe hat trick is Gordie Howe was seen as such a complete player of like goals, assists.
Such a complete player.
Yeah.
You guys can't see fights. The hand motions Clay's giving me right now.
And then they finished off the week by beating San Jose. Giroux had 2 goals and an assist that game.
He did.
Giroux, Tkachuk is their top player with 3 goals and an assist. And their power play was good, going 4 for 12, so like 25%. That math works.
Yeah,
cool.
You were correct.
And their penalty kill was what you want it to be.
Wait. No. It's 33%.
Damn. Yeah, it's fine.
3 for 12 would have been 25%.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right.
I will not look like I don't know how to do division on this podcast. I am good at math.
I don't pretend to. Tampa Bay, 3-1 this week.
I don't need a comment from any mathematicians out there.
They are 15-8-1 on the season. They had a good week.
It's crazy that their record is that. They started out like pretty sputtery to start the season.
They beat Buffalo in that overtime win. They lost to Boston, like I said. They beat Philly, like you said, and then they beat Toronto in overtime. Because Toronto, isn't good in overtime.
It's surprising.
But we do have to keep an eye on Kucherov. He might get suspended for a boarding.
Nice. Nice.
Because that man is one of the dumbest, dirtiest hockey players I have ever seen.
Yeah, him and Malkin. They're the two Russians that are like really skilled, take really stupid penalties.
Hall was looking up when he got boarded. So
that's a board 100%.
Well, one, it was a board 100%. It was also super dangerous because, again, the puck got popped up, but it wasn't in the netting. So everyone's looking up, and then he boards Hall.
Yeah,
so
that's a ticket for Hall's face to go right into the
neck
edge there.
Also a neck injury. It was a really dumb play.
I'm sure he'll get a fine.
He'll probably just get a fine. He might have only gotten a fine, and I just wasn't paying attention.
I didn't see anything about it.
He should have gotten a game.
At least. I think a board like that, like a very egregious board, should at least automatically be a game.
Agreed. Their power play was lethal, going 7 for 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's
their
crazy.
penalty kill was average, so
right.
Don't need to really get into it. In the Philadelphia game, Stamkos scored his 1,000th career point.
I saw that.
Which is crazy. Just because, think of the injuries he's had between 2010 to 13 or something like that.
You know, Stamkos and Crosby have very similar careers in that way. Because there was a good 2 years where Crosby barely played because of neck injuries. And there was a good 2 years where Stamkos barely played because
Boston shattered his leg.
And then he broke his leg again at the Olympics.
Yep.
1 year.
And then he got a blood clot in one of those legs.
It was nuts for Stamkos there for a minute. But hey, he came back, he fought through it.
But for a while,
and he's won 2 Stanley Cups since then. So
for a while, he was on pace with Ovechkin for goals.
He was, yeah.
They were neck and neck that entire time.
Yeah.
And then what was that, last year or 2 years ago, where he played like one shift, scored a goal, and it was the game-winning goal for Tampa during their
in the finals. Yeah, because he was hurt. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So like, the dude's insane.
That's captain shit right there.
Stamkos is their top player with 3 goals and 3 assists in those 4 games. And again, his 1,000th career.
I was really hoping that his 1,000th career. It was before I watched the highlights. I was really hoping it was on that goofy ass goal that went past. That went past Hart. That like he was the one that shot it.
It wasn't. It was.
And it wasn't.
It was a Nick Paul goal.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't that goal. But I was like, oh please, that's the funniest way to get your 1,000th point.
All right, and then I'm going to finish up with Toronto, who is 2-0-1 this week, so they're killing it as well.
Yeah.
15-5-6. So they're actually above Tampa Bay with all those loser points. They beat Detroit, beat San Jose, lost to Tampa. Special teams was good. Mitch Marner is their top player with 4 goals. He actually has an 19-game point streak. He just set the Leafs record for longest point streak at 19 games.
He's killing it.
Now, he is playing Dallas tonight or tomorrow.
One of the two. It's their next game.
Their next game.
It's both teams' next game.
And that is Marner 19-game point streak and Robertson on a 18-game point streak.
It's the first time that's ever happened before.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's crazy.
We'll see if they both extend it or one of them or both of them breaks it. Yeah.
I got a lot of news or a lot of injuries Atlantic compared to Pacific. For Boston, Craig Smith is day-to-day. Didn't say why. Lyubushkin.
Not the old man.
For
no,
Buffalo.
Not Craig Smith. I'm thinking Craig Anderson.
For Buffalo, Lyubushkin is on the IR with a lower body. For Detroit, Tyler Bertuzzi is going to be out for 6 weeks. He just had successful surgery on his wrist. For Florida, Radko Gudas and Patrick Hornquist is... Well, at the time that I wrote this, they were both day-to-day with upper body. Hornquist is now going to the LTIR with that upper body injury. With that one, look for pay attention to any trades that happen because Anthony Duclair is coming back.
I saw somebody speculating that they might move Duclair to get cap compliant.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very see what happens there, because Duclair could fit in that team. They do need some offensive power,
certainly.
But who would they move?
And the thing is, if they do end up trading Duclair, they could probably get something for him.
He's been playing
pretty good the last couple of years.
Montreal, Gallagher is out with a lower body. For Ottawa, Formenton did not sign his qualifying offer.
Oh, why?
So he is not playing for the rest of the season.
Not play for the rest.
Cannot play for the rest of the season.
But Ottawa retains his rights.
Yes.
He just can't play for the rest of this year.
And at the time of...
Sure, they'll wait for that court case to be figured out.
They'll figure that out. At the time that I wrote this, Zub was out with a face injury. That is now IR, maybe LTIR. He is out for a couple of weeks with a broken jaw from a puck to the face.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, so when I started this, he was just out with that puck to the face. Now it is a broken jaw.
Broken jaw is rough.
Out 2 to 3 weeks, minimally. And then finishing off with Toronto, Calle Yarnko is on the IR with a lower body injury.
All right, and that's
me.
That's it for Clay. Let's finish things off with the Central Division. Starting with the Arizona Coyotes, they went 0-1-1 this week. Only 2 games, much like Boston, but they did not win. Unlike Boston, they lost. Wait a minute. Did LA beat Arizona?
Yeah.
I got these. I keep doing this. I keep writing the scores wrong.
You got the record right.
They lost to LA 5-3, where they were 2 for 4 on the penalty kill. Mm-hmm. Genther had 2 assists. Marcelli had a goal and an assist. They blew a 3-1 lead. That should have been my indication that they lost that game. I even wrote it in my notes. Silly me.
Silly old goat.
Silly bird. They then lost to Vancouver in overtime, 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
6 for 8 on the penalty kill in that game. They had 8 penalties in that game.
Did you say 6 for 8?
6 for 8.
Man, Vancouver's penalty kill was bad.
What? Vancouver's
penalty kill.
I thought you said kill.
No, you said power play. My bad.
They were 6 for 8 on the power play in a game. They lost 3-2.
Yep.
That's right. The negative goals were coming in.
Negative goals coming in.
Karel Vejmelka did go 29 of 32 saves in that game. So he's still playing okay.
Yeah.
His numbers might not look like it, but he's playing his heart
them in
out.
The game.
He's trying his hardest. Marcelli is their top player this week with a goal and 2 assists.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago 1-2 this week, losing to Edmonton 5-4, beating the Rangers 5-2. And in those 2 games, Max Domi had... Yep, I said it right this time. Max Domi had 4 goals and an assist between those 2 games. While in the Rangers game, Patrick Kane had a goal and 2 assists, while Jones and McCabe each had 2 assists.
And then they got shut out.
They got shut out by the Islanders. So, rounded out the week pretty well.
Yep.
Their top player is Max Domi with 4 goals and an assist in 2 games, and then nothing in the third game.
Yeah.
Dallas, 2-0-1. Dallas is still killing it, I believe, atop the Central Division currently.
I think so.
They beat St. Louis 4-1. Jamie Benn had 2 assists in that game, while Johnston had a goal and an assist. They shut out Anaheim 5-0. Robertson had a hat trick in that game.
Yeah.
While Heiskanen had 3 assists and Rope Hintz had 2 assists. Then they lost in a shootout to Minnesota. 6-5 was the end score. Dallas came back from being down 5-1.
That's
in the third period.
Jesus.
They scored 4 goals in the third period to tie it, but then ended up losing in the shootout anyway. But still, valiant effort to come back from being down by that much. Rope Hintz had 3 goals and an assist in this game.
Rope Hintz earned that contract.
Well, we'll get to that. Well, Joe Pavelski, Old Man Joe, had 3 assists, playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Old Man Joe is playing on the line with Rope Hintz and Nick Robertson, Jason Robertson.
Nick's Toronto.
Nick's his brother that's on Toronto. But yeah, that line's killing it right now.
Yeah.
That line is killing it.
Old man Pavelski.
Robertson and Hintz are their top players this week. Robertson, 5 goals and an assist, while Rope Hintz had 3 goals and 3 assists. Good week for those two youngsters.
Yes.
Oh my God. Just turn the page. There we go. Turning the page is hard. Colorado went 1-2 this week. Pretty pedestrian week for Colorado. They got shut out by Winnipeg 5-0. Colorado outshot Winnipeg in this game 40-23.
But Hellebuck did Hellebuck things.
Hellebuck did Hellebuck things, and whoever was in net for Colorado did not do Hellebuck things.
No, I think it was Georgiev.
Was it Georgiev? It was either Georgiev or Francouz.
Yeah.
It was one of the two of them. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 5-0
Yeah.
that game. They then beat Buffalo, as Clay mentioned before, 6-4. 3 for 6 on the power play in that game was Colorado. McKinnon had 2 goals and 3 assists. Comfer had 2 goals and 2 assists, and then 3 other players had 2 points each.
I actually watched this game.
Oh, did you?
It was just like, stop them. Somebody stop them.
Somebody stop them.
Someone stop something.
And then, as we already mentioned, ended off the week by just getting stomped by Boston 5-1. McKinnon is their top player of the week because he had 2 goals and 3 assists against Buffalo, and that was his whole week.
Yep.
So, hey, he still had 5 points. Other than that Buffalo game, they scored 1 goal against Boston. Minnesota, much better week, 3-0.
Ooh.
They beat Edmonton 5-3, where they were 2 for 3 on the power play in that game. Kaprizov, goal and 2 assists. Joel Eriksson, Matt Zuccarello, and John Merrill, of all people, had 2 points each in that game. They then beat Anaheim 5-4, as we've already mentioned.
I want to talk about Spurgeon's save in overtime. Yeah, Spurgeon.
Against Dallas?
Against Anaheim.
Was this? Oh, I didn't write that down. That was
Troy,
overtime.
It was a shootout.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I didn't write that down.
No, it wasn't.
No, I believe you.
It was not regulation.
I believe you.
Troy Terry was on a breakaway.
Uh-huh.
And then Jacob Spurgeon laid out. Yeah, it was a shootout.
Okay.
Jacob Spurgeon laid out to pop his stick from behind him, like stick lift him, so that the
hell of a play by Spurgeon.
Fleury was in net.
I think Fleury played all of these games.
Yeah, then Fleury made the save. So like straight up, completely behind Terry. Terry had no idea Spurgeon was behind him. Laid out on his belly
and made the play.
Stick.
Good play.
It was amazing.
Good play. Is he their captain? I think Spurgeon is their captain.
I have no idea.
I think he is. Joel Eriksson and Kalen Addison each had a goal and an assist in this game. Minnesota's penalty kill was 1 for 3 in this game. Pretty bad.
That's bad.
They then beat Dallas in a shootout, like I just mentioned. They blew a 5-1 lead in the third period, but still pulled out the win in the end.
That's what you got to do. So
Yeah,
that's two shootout wins.
They did it. The two shootout, wins a win at the end of the day.
That's all that matters.
Technically, the shootout wins actually kind of count for less, but that's only when tiebreakers come into play.
Effect.
Effect. Ryan Reeves, of all people, had 2 assists in this game.
Really?
In like 15 seconds.
Good for him.
I
just
know.
showing up on his new team.
And he is starting his new arc as playmaker Ryan Reeves.
Well, I mean, last year he was goal scorer Ryan Reeves for the Rangers.
Now he's playmaker Ryan Reeves. Jared Spurgeon, as we were just mentioning, also had 2 assists in this game. Joel Eriksson and Kaprizov each had 3 goals and 2 assists this week to be their co-top players for Minnesota. But a good week for Minnesota. Nashville also had a pretty good week, also 3-0.
Wow.
They beat Anaheim 2-1 in overtime.
As you should.
Where Matt Duchene had 2 assists and Roman Josi had the overtime game winner. They then beat New Jersey in overtime as well, 4-3. 3 for 5 on the penalty kill in this game.
Don't worry about it.
Not great.
Yeah.
But Marcus Johansson had 2 goals and an assist, including the overtime game winner. Or it's Johansson for him.
Is that Marcus?
Nope. No, he's on the Capitals.
Is it Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah.
God, sorry. The beer was just like...
In your brain?
You're not going to remember this guy's name. Ryan Johansson had 2 goals and an assist, including the overtime game winner. And then they beat the Islanders 4-1. Philip Forsberg, a goal and an assist, along with Roman Jossi's goal and an assist in this game. Matt Duchene had a goal and 2 assists. Lankinen, 48 for 49 in this game.
Wow.
And as I mentioned before, there were 2 empty net goals, so this game was realistically 2-1.
Yeah.
Instead of 4-1, like it ended up being. Matt Duchene is one of their top players with a goal and 5 assists, while UC Saros is their other top player, 2-0 with a 193 goals against and a 937 save percentage. St. Louis, 0-3 this week.
Yeah, they did bad.
Losing to Dallas 4-1, as I already mentioned. Losing to Carolina 6-4, as I already mentioned. Buchnevich did have a goal and an assist in this game, while Tarasenko had 2 assists, and then they lost to Pittsburgh 6-2.
Yep.
Again, as I already mentioned, 2 for 4 on the penalty kill in this game. Periotko had 2 assists. Let's talk about Jordan Binnington.
Oh, we can talk about Jordan Binnington now.
They do not have a top player. Jordan Binnington.
Do we want to talk about Winnipeg and then go back to Binnington, or do we?
You know what? Yeah, let's finish off. Let's finish off with. Let's do Winnipeg and the news, and then we'll finish off with Binnington.
That's good, because we'll rant a while for Binnington.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Binnington.
Because there's a lot of news for Binnington.
Good God. What a week he had.
It's bad.
He, I believe, played all 3 of those games.
Yes, he
and
did.
Not well.
Nope.
And then he, did some things.
But, look at like a week or 2 ago, where
he was playing pretty
great.
well.
Yeah.
Winnipeg went 2-1 this week. Shut out Colorado, as I mentioned before. Blake Wheeler had a hat trick in this game, plus an assist.
Ooh.
Scheifele had a goal and 2 assists. Cole Perfetti had 3 assists. They're I believe he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connor Hellebuck, 40 saves in the shutout. Winnipeg then weirdly lost to Columbus 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
Not much.
Because Laine was there.
Yeah, that's right. Because Laine scored 2 goals. I'm sure much to the chagrin of any Winnipeg fans. But they finished off the week by beating Anaheim 5-2, where they came back from being down 2-0 after, I believe, the first period. Lowry and Connor each had 2 assists in this game, while Maynalainen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and guess a Finnish player had a goal and an assist in this game. Blake Wheeler is one of their top players, 3 goals, 3 assists on the week.
Good for him.
Connor Hellebuck, 2-0 with a goal, 1 goal.
He seems to be responding well for that captaincy getting stripped.
Honestly, Winnipeg in general seems to be responding well for all the turmoil that they had this offseason.
Yeah.
Hellebuck, 2-0 with a 1.00 goals against, a 971 save percentage, and a shutout. Good week for Winnipeg.
Good week overall. For Winnipeg.
They did lose that weird game to Columbus.
But still, it's
good overall.
Any given Sunday,
Kind of true. Yeah. News.
They're all professional teams.
That's true. Colorado signed Alex Galchenyuk to a 1-year, $750,000 contract, and he's already on waivers.
There it is. All right. He got put on waivers today.
He got put on waivers today, which I think is really funny. It was a 2-way contract, I think. So I'm sure he'll pass through waivers. I don't know anybody that I don't know why anyone would take him. It's just really funny. He played 2 games and got sent right down to the minors. Dallas signed Roope Hintz to an 8-year, $8.45 million extension.
You know how we were questioning Dallas's front office this past offseason?
I think they're making some pretty solid choices
here. They are killing it right now.
Because if we remember correctly, I believe they signed Robertson to 3 years, something like that.
3 or 4.
Like $7.75 million, something like that. And then Ottinger they signed to a 2-year contract.
I think.
And so bridge deals.
Yep.
But I believe each of those deals takes them to the end of Ben and Sagan's contracts.
Yes.
And that means that'll free up like $16 million, and then $18 million, something like that.
Is Radulov still on their contract?
I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But they'll have a lot of cap space fairly soon.
Yes.
And so they can give Robertson, and honestly, Ottinger hasn't played that great this year, but they can give Robertson a lot more money to keep him there.
Hintz
locked in for 8 more years.
And then who's Miro?
Oh, Miro Heiskanen also locked in for this is the first year of an 8-year extension for him too.
You have this core group of guys
They look really good, too.
That, again, they're going to keep Robertson.
Jason Robertson is a dynamo.
They're going to keep him.
Yeah.
That's what this bridge deal was for. Those 3 guys locked down for long term. That's really good moves by Dallas.
Then you got old man Pavelski there, too.
Who will not stop.
I'll also score some goals. That's my old man impression.
Well, I mean, so I saw...
That's what Joe Pavelski sounds like.
I saw one thing that... it was a list of guys that played at least one game before the lockout.
Mm-hmm.
Pavelski's not on the list, but Brett Burns is.
Oh, the 04 lockout.
Yeah.
Or the 05, whatever. The last actual
lockout. 04 to 05 lockout. Brett Burns is on the list. I keep forgetting.
He really?
Yes.
Wow.
Man's old.
Oh, yeah. He's in his upper 30s, isn't he?
He's like 38, 39.
That's crazy.
He's
playing pretty well for Carolina.
He's got 2 more years on his...
Age don't mean a thing sometimes in the NHL.
He's got like 2 more years on his Carolina contract.
Yeah.
I think his contract sends him to, if not 40, then 41.
If I remember correctly, I think it does send him to 40. I think I remember that happening when they signed that contract.
But the whole thing was like, it was like Craig Anderson, Bergeron, Brett Burns, of like guys who played before that lockout.
Trying to think of who else would be on that list.
Who retired?
I guess Joe Thornton. He hasn't technically retired yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy.
Either way, yeah.
But yeah. I mean, Dallas is looking good for the future.
They
honestly.
really are. We have a lot of questions.
Solid position. We'll run through the standings really quick here in a second too, and then we'll talk about Jordan Binnington because I remember we said that.
Yeah.
But Dallas looking good.
Yeah.
We had questions in their offseason decisions, but
we were wrong.
Hey,
we're not GMs.
And honestly, Jamie Benn's playing okay.
He is.
I don't remember reading off Tyler Sagan's name at all yet this year, but Jamie Benn's playing okay.
He's gotten a couple.
So,
he got a shorthanded goal in the past 2 weeks.
He's looked all right.
Yeah.
He looked all right. Moving on, Arizona has cleared another hurdle for their arena deal in Tempe. The city council unanimously agreed to send it to I think, general population vote.
Gotcha.
And I imagine most people probably will be like, yeah, sure.
It depends on whether or not they plan on using taxpayer money.
Yeah, that I don't know. But
because if they do plan on like not the ownership group doing it, it might get shut down.
We'll see. But they've cleared they only have one hurdle more, and it seems from the talking heads that I've seen, they seem to think that it's going to get done. I saw Gary Bettman also said that they will pledge a 30-year no movement out of Arizona if this deal gets done. And they will bring a draft and all-star game to Arizona in the next few years.
That's insane.
They got to sign a lease, so
yeah,
you can't break the lease without paying money. That was somebody said recently. Oh, I think it was when the Penguins got sold, because everybody immediately is like, "Oh, the Penguins got sold. Oh, they're gonna move," and people were like, "They have like a 35-year lease in the building that they're in right now. They're not going anywhere."
No.
So a lot of teams, and you wouldn't think that most of these teams don't own the arenas that they're in. Now I'm sure there's a few that do, but like I imagine maybe Montreal owns theirs.
I think Washington does.
Maybe Washington does, but there's not that many. They have like lease deals with whoever owns it, whatever conglomerate owns that building. So we'll see, but it's looking good for Arizona to stay in Arizona in Tempe. So
yeah,
it would be really funny if they changed it to the Tempe Coyotes.
just like off the wall,
just another change. Jared Tenorti of the Chicago Blackhawks is on the IR with a hip injury.
No, he's been playing so well for Chicago.
Yeah, he had 2 goals that one game, like out of nowhere.
He dangled Gibson. It was ridiculous.
He did. Let's look at the standings really quick. I wanted to do this last week, but of course,
forgot.
Well, it was like a double week, and then we had to do it like remotely too, so it would have been really hard. So whatever, we're doing it this week. We're essentially a quarter of the way through the season.
We're over that.
Yeah. So we'll start in the Western Conference. Look at the Central. I figure we'll read off our own divisions. Dallas, number 1 in the Central right now, 14-6-5 with 33 points. Pretty solidly there. Winnipeg in second, 15-7-1 with 31 points. However, they do have 2 games in hand on Dallas. Minnesota in third, 24 games played, 13-9-2 for 28 points. In fourth place is Colorado, 13-8-1,
like everyone expected.
Points. Yeah, like everybody expected. Dallas in first, and Colorado in fourth. Nashville right there, right behind Colorado, 12-9-2 with 26 points. St. Louis not super far behind, but they are at 11-13 currently with 22 points. Arizona, shockingly, not in last place, 7-11-4 for 18 points. Chicago also has 18 points, but they have 2 more losses at 7-13-4.
And Arizona has 2 games in hand.
And Arizona has 2 games in hand on
St. Louis and Chicago.
Oh yeah, they could catch up to St. Louis, which is really funny. They could tie St. Louis points wise anyway. Yeah. So there you go. That's the Central Division. Let's move on to the Pacific.
All right. So in the Pacific Division, Vegas is on top with 37 points. You've talked about all their standings.
Yeah, you said their standing. You can just go through points.
So Vegas has 37 points. Seattle is in second with 33 points. Now,
hell yeah.
They also, and then Los Angeles is in third with 30 points, but St. Louis has 3 games in hand on them.
Seattle.
So, thank you. Seattle has 3 games in hand on Los Angeles and can really extend their.
Well, they have 2 games in hand on Vegas too.
Right. So they could take not take the lead, but really
they could tie
catch
them
up
points wise anyway.
Yeah. Then in fourth is Edmonton in that wild card spot with 28 points. Right behind them is Calgary with 25. Vancouver has 23. San Jose has 20. And rounding out the league, I believe, is Anaheim
yes,
with
I believe
15.
Anaheim is in last. What's really funny is San Jose has played the most games and has the second least points.
Yeah. Well,
have they played the most games in the entire league?
Anaheim's percentage is
yes, they have.
Win percentage is .288.
Oh, Anaheim.
Yeah,
I want you to be better.
You poor baby.
When you go back to the Duck Mask, then you'll unlock your power. All right, let's move over to the East. We'll start with the Metropolitan Division. Atop the Metro is the New Jersey Devils, just like everybody thought.
Just like everyone thought.
Who are 24-1 for 41 points. They have a commanding lead right now over Carolina, who is in second place.
That's the President's Trophy right there.
14 currently?
Currently.
Oh, yeah, they're 1 point ahead of Boston. Even.
Because Boston has 2 games in hand.
Oh, yeah. Carolina is in second place in the Metro, 14-6-5 for 33 points. The New York Islanders, 16-10 for 32 points. They are holding a 2-point lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are 13-8-4, but they have a game in hand on St. Louis. The Rangers, right behind the Pittsburgh Penguins, at 11-10-5 for 27 points, but Pittsburgh also has a game in hand on them. Washington, right behind the Rangers, 10-12-4 with 24 points. Philadelphia, 8-12-5 with 21, and Columbus bringing up the rear with 8-13-2, 18 points.
Wait, how many does Anaheim have?
15.
15, okay.
Yeah, so they're last. Columbus is second to last.
Yeah. All right. So, talking about the Atlantic, Boston is at the top with 40 points in 23 games,
Good
which
Lord.
is absolutely
That's
absurd.
Insane. I can't wait for their swan song. Watch them not make the playoffs.
Not this year.
They're not going to make the playoffs this year.
No, I mean that's not going to happen.
They're
going to
go on a 25-game losing streak.
Oh my God!
Go ahead.
Everyone gets fired at that point.
That would be unprecedented. They're undefeated at home.
Yeah,
they're 14-0 at home. That's insane.
It's insane.
Calm down, Bruins. You were supposed to be bad to start the season.
And again, that's a Bruins record. An original 16 setting a record for 14-0 to start the season.
Good Lord. Calm down, Bruins. Jesus.
Toronto's in second with 36 points. But again, Boston has 3 games in hand.
I was going to say they're not that far behind, and then I was like, oh, yeah. Boston
Tampa Bay is in third with 31 points. Detroit's in fourth for now with 29. Florida has 28, right behind them, and then Montreal 25. Buffalo is 23, and then Ottawa is 21.
Let me just roll down to the Central. Let's just make sure. Okay, Arizona and Chicago are tied with Columbus
for 18.
For the second least points.
So yeah, that's it right now. Let's talk about Jordan Binnington.
Y'all. Jordan Binnington's having a week. So he lost that first game to Dallas 4-1. Didn't look good.
No.
Nobody on St. Louis looked good. Second game against Carolina, 6-4. He tried to check Jordan Staal, who's like 6'5" or 6'6". He's like a huge
50
man.
50 pounds on Binnington because Binnington's a stick.
Yeah, he's not big. And Jordan Staal, I feel like the obligatory thing to call out here is that he grew up on a sod farm. So he's a big, strong boy.
Yes, he is.
And, Jordan Binnington tried to check him behind the net while Staal was just like following the puck behind the net.
Binnington misplayed the puck.
He did. But he was trying to slow Staal down by checking him, I guess, is how you can tell this decision. He got knocked on his ass.
Yeah, he did.
By Staal. Staal didn't even like really put anything into the hit.
No.
Binnington kind of just ran into him and fell down.
Yeah.
It's just like it's that classic like you see like a skinny guy try to push a bigger guy and then they just like fall over.
You
backwards.
saw Staal go like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, he wasn't paying attention. He was like,
happened?
"What?" And then somebody tried to fight Staal because they didn't see what happened.
There was a guy who was kind of ahead of Staal, so like
he didn't see what happened.
Yeah, he just turned and his goalie's on his butt while Stahl's standing over him.
Yeah, just being like, what did you think was going to happen here?
Right.
You know? And so that's kind of just funny. You can see what he was trying to do there.
No, we talked about this with the Aaron Dell last year.
Yeah.
Goalies should not be allowed to hit because they cannot be touched.
That's true. That's a good point. And that point is further reinforced by what he did in the Pittsburgh game. It was the first period.
It was the first period.
Pittsburgh scored 3 goals in the first period. They lit them up.
It was 3-1.
It was 3-1 towards the end of the period. Jason Zucker went to basically the exact same thing that happened with Staal. He was following the puck. It was not misplayed this time. He was just following whoever had the puck behind the net for St. Louis that like Binnington handed it off to. And Binnington essentially clotheslined him.
I got to say, Binnington did a very good job almost making this look like incidental.
Almost.
Until
you slowed it down.
Everything looks on purpose in slow-mo. No.
Okay.
This was completely intentional. But like you had to look at it like 2 or 3 times to be like, "Oh, he meant to do that."
Well, what happened initially is that they called high sticking on this play.
Right.
Because Jason Zucker came up, he kind of fell into the boards. He was okay. He was stunned for a second, but he got up. They called a double minor high sticking on Binnington.
Yep.
Because they thought that he clipped him with his stick.
No, it was his blocker.
But the refs, I saw some announcers. I saw the Pittsburgh announcers were like, they called a penalty just to figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah.
And so they watched what happened, and what happened was Binnington actually punched him in the face with his glove hand.
Yep.
And which made Zucker kind of fall off balance into the boards. And then if you watch the replay, it looks like Binnington was chirping him while he was on the ice.
You saw him skate by.
I'm going to go ahead and assume he was based on what happened the next period. So that happened. The refs looked at the replay. They ended up not calling a penalty on it because technically it was not a high stick. So they were like, so we can't call a penalty on it. We can't add a penalty on it.
No, they got a power play.
No, they did not. I was watching this game. No, they did not.
He scored on the power play in the
It was for something different.
Oh, okay.
It was a different penalty, not on Jordan Binnington.
Okay.
So the start of the second period, Jason Zucker scored like a minute and a half, 2 minutes into the period. Which I was watching this on my couch. I was like, man, I really hope Jason Zucker scores.
Yeah,
and then he did. And I was like, hell yeah. And then the Blues pulled Binnington.
Yes, they did.
Binnington decided to pull off his mask and say something to Zucker on the bench. God knows what, because he was playing terribly.
Yep.
So he has no room to bitch at the Penguins bench. And it was really funny. Zucker just kind of shrugged his shoulders at him and was like, "What are you talking about?"
And Russ was...
While the rest of... Yeah, while Brian Russ was like, "Get the fuck out of here."
He was waving by to him next to him.
Really funny. Jordan Binnington got a game misconduct for that because the refs were also like, no.
He got a game misconduct for incitement.
Yes, he did.
Which is rare. I haven't seen that since Jordan...
Since the first time I've seen it in a while.
Kadri got it against Binnington last year when Binnington swung in his face.
Oh, surprise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So he got...
Kadri shouldn't have gotten it because he wasn't saying anything to him.
So he got a game misconduct for incitement. I saw people on the hockey subreddit be like, I had to look up what that ruling was, but it was the correct ruling. Yeah. They were like, because I have never seen that called before. I had to look up what the rule is, but that was a spot-on call. Yeah. So he didn't technically get kicked out of the game, but he got a 10-minute game misconduct. He wasn't coming back into that game anyway.
Whoa. Did you see what happened to Greece? So Greece is their backup goalie.
Yeah, I did.
So Greece
it was embarrassing for Greece.
So Greece is their backup goalie.
Greece, however you want to say it.
And coming into the net...
While this was going on.
Yes, coming into the net to take Binnington's spot, he tripped and fell face first.
Yeah, he caught his edge on I don't know, a line in the ice, and he fell into the net. Thankfully, he was fine, and he played. But
if that had injured him...
Oh, they would have had to pull
an emergency backup goalie
for
10 minutes.
That would have been funny. And then Binnington would have had to go back in.
Yes.
I'm glad Greece didn't get hurt, but that would have been the most hilarious situation.
Hilarious.
Yeah, because they were like, oh, no, you're not playing for 10 minutes.
Right.
Jordan Binnington is a clown baby.
Well,
I would
his
just like
coach
to
called
say.
him out.
Craig Berube was like, man, you got to stop. To the press was like, at a certain point, he has to stop doing this and just play goalie.
Which means if your head coach is saying this to the press, he's already talked to you in private.
Yep. Yeah, oh, yeah.
He's talked to you in private multiple times.
It's not like this is the first time something like this has happened with Binnington.
He's
a hothead.
He's thin-skinned, emotionally weak.
He's a clown baby.
So he's told you to cut your crap in private. Now he's telling everyone. He's just like, I'm telling you.
You have to think that the other players in the locker room are pissed that he keeps doing this too.
Maroon, Krug, all of the Bertuzzi, like
Maroon's not in St. Louis.
Not Maroon. O'Reilly. Sorry.
Yeah.
O'Reilly.
Oh, O'Reilly especially.
Think of all of those hard-nosed veterans that they have.
They're captains, they're leaders on the team, and be like,
and
dude,
they're just dealing with
doing this. Yeah.
Crap.
And like, if they had a better backup, they would send him down to the AHL. I'm certain. But like, Greiss is old. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's not a terrible goalie, but he's up there.
We've talked about him. He's either out of his mind or
he lets it
dog poop.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
There's no in between. Really makes you wonder how much they miss Ville Husso now.
Oh my god.
I mean, they're kind of tied because they already gave Binnington that contract, and they couldn't keep both of them.
I mean,
so
nobody was going to Florida. They gave
yeah,
Bobrovsky that contract. He ain't playing right now, is he?
And nobody's taking that contract. So.
No, without 50% retained.
At least Bobrovsky isn't trying to act like Ron Hextall right now and trying to like fight guys. I think they should let goalies fight again. Because Binnington would get his bell rung.
He's going to get run by somebody, and his team's not going to stand up for him.
Yeah. Somebody like, who would run him? Like somebody like Brendan Lemieux would run right into him.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, that's what you get. And then his teammates would be like, that's what you get.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I just don't. He's just a hothead. He thinks he's one of those goalies of old that were like, he thinks he's Waugh or Brodeur or Hextall who were like throwing punches and shit at people.
But the thing about Price, Waugh, Brodeur, who would throw punches, they would stand there and fight.
Yep.
Binnington hides behind his team.
Now, essentially, they've made it... Didn't they make it illegal for the goalies to fight a couple of years ago? It was the Holtby-Emery fight that did it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because Emery beat the shit out of Holtby.
Yeah,
because he didn't want to fight.
Yeah.
But, like...
But then the refs just stood there and let it happen.
Yeah. Just allow goalie fights. I'm not saying that Tristan Jarry would beat his ass or anything like that, but, like... Bring back Brent Johnson, who ended Rick DiPietro's career.
Mike Smith would come down the ice.
Mike Smith would use old man rage and beat the hell out of him. I love goalie fights because I know that they're dangerous and they shouldn't be fighting in all those pads because they could fall weird and stuff. But they're awesome because they're so silly looking. And I think Binnington needs to be taught a lesson, if not by an opposing goalie fighting him, then by his team by benching him.
We might get to the point with D'Angelo with Georgiev punching his own player in the face.
Oh, okay. Do we want to call it right now? Who's punching Binnington in the face?
O'Reilly.
I was going to say O'Reilly, too.
If not Bertuzzi, then O'Reilly.
Well, no, I meant on the Blues.
No, not Bertuzzi. Bortuzzo?
Oh, Robert. Is he still on?
I think he is.
Huh. Anyway, I was going to guess O'Reilly, too.
Oh, if it's not O'Reilly, it's Krug.
Or Tyler Krug. Yeah.
Or Berube.
It'd be so funny if he pulled him out of the game and just socked him right in the face.
The head
coach,
I
told you to stop doing this. If he came to the bench and he just backhanded him, like, I told you to stop doing this.
Exactly.
and you look at his hand and he has pimp rings on.
Yeah.
He's just like, I told you to stop acting like this.
He has a Stanley Cup ring on.
Yeah.
Which Binnington does have too, but whatever.
He can't wear it to play.
Nope.
The coach can wear them.
All right, let's wrap this up.
All right, so Jordan Binnington, you're a clown, baby. Maybe go to anger management. It seems like this is like stemming from anger issues, certainly. But thank you guys for listening. As always, I hope you don't have anger issues, and if you do, go see a therapist. It's not shameful. Normalize mental health. Help. Clay, stop laughing. But thank you for listening. As always, we can be found wherever podcasts can be found. Like, comment, subscribe wherever applicable, please. And tell your friends and family about us because, we're fun. We make each other laugh at least.
Someone's got to laugh.
Someone's got to laugh at us.
If it's not you, it's going to be us.
There's at least a handful of you out there. You got to be laughing at us at this point. You're still listening. But we'll see you guys next week.
At the same puck time.
Same puck place.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.